Once upon a time, long before he became the President of the United States, Donald Trump was a successful businessman with a growing empire. He had a flair for real estate and a vision for creating luxurious properties that would leave everyone in awe. But in this tale, we explore a lesser-known chapter in his life, an incident involving a cunning homeowners association, HOA, that attempted to claim his property through dubious means. In the early 2000s, Trump had purchased a sprawling estate just outside New York City, a magnificent property known for its breathtaking views and elaborate gardens, where vibrant blossoms dotted the landscape and fragrant lilacs danced playfully in the breeze. The estate was a private paradise, equipped with everything from a lush golf course that weaved through rolling hills to a lavish pool that shimmered like an oasis under the bright sun. It was a playground for luxury, a sanctuary for retreat, and Trump envisioned it as a gathering place for friends, family, and fellow moguls, each visit becoming a celebration of success. Yet unbeknownst to him, his property lay hidden within the reach of an ambitious HOA filled with self-appointed property protectors, a group that considered itself the bastions of suburban respectability. They had one aim: control. At the helm of this HOA was a woman named Karen, the archetypal neighborhood enforcer, whose name resonated with authority and fear. Known for her insatiable zeal in maintaining community standards, Karen was the kind of person who would scrutinize the very shade of your mailbox before allowing it to exist unchallenged. Karen had a vision, and it was grand. She saw herself as more than just the president of the HOA. She envisioned a whole new order in the surrounding neighborhoods. By painstakingly instituting rules and regulations, she planned to forge what she called Karen's Community Code, a stringent set of bylaws that mandated compliance and quashed any hint of individuality that dared peek through the perfectly manicured lawns and indistinguishable facades of her domain. In her mind, a home was not merely a residence. It was a reflection of the collective values Karen believed she was entitled to enforce. Then came Trump's arrival, a spectacle that would soon draw the ire of the HOA's self-appointed council. From the moment word spread about the billionaire's lavish estate, Karen felt the prick of challenge at her core. His estate towered over those merely designed for comfortable living. It was a statement piece, an extravagant declaration that contradicted the mundane script Karen had penned for her vision of conformity. With its elaborate architecture and grandiose features, it became an unbearable eyesore for her strict standards. In her mind, it was clear something drastic needed to be done about this ostentatious show of wealth. Fueled by a growing obsession with control, one fateful autumn day, Karen summoned her board for a clandestine meeting. They convened in the HOA's community center, a space adorned with overly floral arrangements that felt like they had been plucked straight from a thrift shop and draped in an air of dictatorial decorum. In hushed tones, Karen detailed her ambitions, her plot, a scheme she named the Great HOA Heist, to leverage the power of the association against Trump and his gaudy estate. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice both honeyed and menacing, "we have an opportunity to restore order. Mr. Trump's extravagant property does not adhere to our values. We must show him that beneath the glitz and glamour lies a community that will not be walked over." The board members nodded in tandem, each one starry-eyed over thoughts of newfound power. Never had they imagined that they could stand toe-to-toe with a billionaire, standing up for what they believed to be right. In their fervor, they concocted increasingly aggressive letters filled with legal jargon, a verbal assault designed to confuse and intimidate. These missives claimed Trump owed back dues for maintenance fees and threatened to place liens against his property if he didn't comply. They argued amongst themselves, utilizing a myriad of convoluted legalities as shields, convinced that the barrage of letters would strike fear into the billionaire's heart. However, in their zealous pursuit of power, Karen and her compatriots gravely underestimated Trump's business acumen and negotiation skills. Rather than cower in fear, Trump was incensed. He saw the letters as a challenge, a call to arms. Summoning his legal team, he instructed them to sift through the seemingly endless pile of communiques, deciphering each word with the detail of a master forger scrutinizing counterfeit bills. Days turned into nights as the respective legal experts analyzed the HOA's letters. Sitting in the expansive, brightly lit conference room of Trump Enterprises, where marble columns and plush leather couches spoke of success, his team dived deep into the legal abyss surrounding the HOA's claims. As hours passed and legal documents piled high around them like a fortress, the light bulb moments began to flicker on one by one. As though guided by the hand of fate itself, finally, they uncovered a series of discrepancies. The HOA had no legal authority over Trump's estate, for he didn't reside within their jurisdiction and had never agreed to their bylaws. Their documents, it turned out, were outdated, lying like discarded relics of a bygone era, misused and misrepresented. Trump's resolve only grew with each revelation as triumph washed over him. He understood that this skirmish was not just about property rights. It symbolized something more profound, the essence of power, dominance, and the indomitable spirit that defined him. With a plan taking shape in his mind, Trump decided to turn the tables on Karen and her elusive board. He would reveal their overreach and challenge their authority while simultaneously safeguarding his domain. He wasn't just defending a piece of property. He was standing up against the tyranny of conformity orchestrated by a group of self-righteous homeowners. The very battleground of suburban control had been drawn, clear for all to witness. What would initially seem like a straightforward property dispute was about to unfurl into a grand confrontation of ideals. As he strategized, he realized that he had in his possession both a physical estate and a metaphorical one, the principles of freedom and self-expression. And so, he drafted a response that was sharp and confident, articulating his stance with clarity and poise. He challenged the HOA to provide legal footing for their demands and requested a meeting to discuss their claims in person. The winds of change began to swirl around the quaint streets of Oak Brook, and as word of the confrontation trickled through the neighborhood, the residents began to take sides. Some sympathized with Trump, drawn to the allure of his boldness and the excitement he embodied, seeing him as a breath of fresh air who could bring new life and vibrancy to the community. Others rallied behind Karen, believing that her strict standards were essential to maintaining the character of their beloved neighborhood, arguing that one man's recklessness shouldn't threaten their way of life. In the days leading up to the scheduled meeting, the community buzzed with anticipation, gossiping and speculating about the showdown between the billionaire and the HOA president. Would Trump? As they wrapped up the meeting, Karen couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper lay behind Trump's smooth words. What if this challenge revealed more than just opinions on aesthetics? What if it drew out secrets from those within the community, hidden ambitions, or fears they had never voiced? The stakes were higher than they imagined, changing the fabric of Oak Brook forever, and the countdown to the community forum had begun. Little did they know, this campaign would lead to personal revelations and surprises that would transform their views in the process. The twist was just beginning, and it held promises of unexpected alliances and shocking betrayals. With the echoes of their agreements still hanging in the air, Karen felt both excited and terrified for the journey ahead. One that would unravel the truth behind what it truly meant to be a community, and what it cost to stand for one's beliefs the day of the forum arrived, casting a golden glow over Oak Brook. Residents thronged the community center, animatedly discussing the contentious showdown that was destined to unfold. Trump's promise to elevate the neighborhood, paired with Karen's commitment to uphold its traditions, ignited a spark of curiosity and unease. As Karen walked into the packed auditorium, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Rows of chairs filled with familiar faces awaited her. Friends, neighbors, and a few skeptics who had decided to see what the ruckus was all about. A large banner draped behind the stage read, "Oak Brook's Future. Your voice, your choice," though Karen couldn't shake off the sense of impending drama. Unbeknownst to her, sitting in the third row was a striking figure. Tanya, a former high school classmate of Karen, who had since moved to the big city and back again after inheriting her grandmother's home in Oak Brook. Tanya had never quite fit in with the community's strict guidelines and had fought tooth and nail for the freedom to express her unique style. She had a glimmer of mischief in her eye, knowing of the secret role she planned to play in this unfolding tale. The event began with Karen standing tall at the podium, addressing the audience while trying to project confidence. Thank you all for coming today. This forum will help us shape the future of our beloved Oakbrook. I appreciate your voices, even if some of them sound like, well, they come in different colors. Laughter erupted, igniting the atmosphere, and Karen exhaled, relieved at the light-heartedness. Now, without further ado, she continued, motioning to the side, I'd like to bring Mr. Trump to present his vision first. As Trump strode confidently onto the stage, the crowd erupted with applause, eager to hear what he had to say. Hello, Oakbrook. He leaned into his microphone, leaning forward as though addressing old friends, his signature grin widening into view. Are you ready for a change? Because I am here not just to shake things up, but to bring elegance and excitement. With that, he flipped the screen behind him to reveal bold, colorful designs showcasing his ambitious vision. A stunning mix of modern architecture, dazzling outdoor features, and vibrant community areas. Look at this, folks. Imagine your drab sidewalks transformed into picturesque walkways lined with art installations and communities bustling with tourists. Tourists? Karen muttered under her breath, glancing sideways at her board. Trump continued, This is not just about me. It's about what we can create together in Oakbrook. He clicked to the next slide that revealed the tagline, Embrace Change, a manifesto for the future. The crowd responded enthusiastically, though faint murmurs of hesitation drifted through the crowd. Then came the grand finale. And if you want a taste of luxury in class, how about a golf course right at the heart of Oakbrook? Can you imagine? Golf tournaments, gatherings, fundraisers. I promise you, together, we can make Oakbrook the jewel of this region. The applause swelled, but Karen's determination left no room for error. She took the stage promptly as Trump stepped aside. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Now, let's explore the other side of things. She took a deep breath, scanning the audience, focusing on the many faces, perhaps recalling the shared memories they all contained. While Mr. Trump's vision is certainly colorful, she started, a small grin creeping onto her face. We need to remember what has traditionally made Oakbrook a community. Stability, safety, and yes, aesthetics that enhance our environment. Our beautiful trees, our quaint home designs. They tell a story of togetherness. The crowd approved with nods, some even raising their hands in support, prompting Karen to feel even more emboldened as she unveiled her own vision. A presentation showcasing charming parks, carefully manicured gardens, and welcoming community, spaces devoid of extravagant monuments. Imagine a community garden where we can come together, connect, and share our lives. Simple, beautiful, and quintessential Oakbrook. As Karen shared beautiful photographs of the existing community, the audience was drawn in, resonating with the sense of nostalgia that warmed their hearts. But just as it seemed the pendulum was swinging in her favor, Tanya, who had been silently observing, couldn't contain herself any longer. She stood up, breaking the facade of order, and shouted, What if I want a home that reflects who I am? What if I don't want to fit into your picture-perfect oak tree landscape? The crowd fell silent, all eyes on Tanya as she advanced toward the stage, her long skirt flowing. I've had enough of traditional buildings with reins around our creativity. Who are we kidding here? Oakbrook needs to evolve beyond these rules that suffocate individuality. I deserve a home that represents my identity. Karen glanced at Trump, who bore a smirk. This unexpected twist intrigued him. Now, there's a voice we should hear more of. Do you feel that, Oakbrook? An artist, a creator, is in our midst. Tanya continued unabated. I'm not saying we throw everything away, but can't we also expand what it means to be beautiful? Why should I have to conform? Just like you all, I want a chance to express who I am in our community. Karen faltered, recognizing the validity of Tanya's emotions. But how do we strike a balance? She implored, seeking common ground. If we sacrifice aesthetics entirely, chaos will reign. Chaos can also breed creativity. Tanya countered passionately. What's to say we can have art installations alongside your gardens? Or mixed styles that tell stories? Our community could be a living canvas. The crowd buzzed with excitement, the energy shifting as people considered Tanya's words. Someone shouted from the back, an art festival could bring folks together, and soon others voiced their opinions. As the discussion erupted, Karen felt adrift. Trump seized the moment. Karen, perhaps this is the essence we need to embrace. Why not incorporate a few of Tanya's ideas? Let's not make this a black and white issue. Karen replied hesitantly. You mean? Absolutely. Let's merge the ideas. We could have community standards alongside personal voices. We could create art, have gardens, and appeal to visitors. Why can't Oakbrook be a place of contrast? Trump proposed, his eyes glinting with possibility. The atmosphere shifted as applause erupted, leaving Karen bewildered. But would that even work? She asked, doubt surfacing. I think it could. Why not gather ideas from everyone here today and create a new public art project? Let's make the neighborhood not just a community, but a destination. We'll all benefit. Tanya chimed in, her voice rising with fervor. The audience buzzed, enthusiasm mixing with optimism. But Karen felt a knot forming in her stomach. I don't want to compromise our values too far. Then don't. Trump urged. Set parameters, boundaries. Influence inspired creativity without losing our sense of self. Give people a voice, Karen. The community will steer this. An unexpected sense of collaboration began to blossom, fueled by the suggestions flowing from the crowd. Karen considered the enormity of such a shift. The uneasy feeling in her stomach swelled. Perhaps there was value in frank discussions. Perhaps change could be a balance rather than an abandonment of what they held dear. Realizing the moment had come to actively participate in this transformation, she stepped forward, her heart pounding. All right, how about we do this right here, right now? She proposed, adrenaline fueling her. Let's form a committee of residents. Tanya, you can be involved. Let's brainstorm ideas that reflect both our traditions and the imaginative upkeep of this community. We can create art spaces, community gardens, or even festivals that showcase our diverse talents. The crowd erupted with cheers and applause, and for the first time, Karen felt a wave of solidarity wash over her, breaching the boundaries of her notions of preservation. Before long, Karen and Trump exchanged a glance, an understanding passing between them. Amidst the drama skimming the surface, the currents of change began to intertwine, weaving an intricate tapestry of identities that hinted at more than they could have ever imagined for Oakbrook. But as with all plans, something stirred beneath the surface, a lingering question that hinted at a deeper plot. A challenge was laid in this saga, now woven with twists and voices, was only just beginning to reveal the complexity of its shared fate. Who knew what secrets and unexpected alliances would emerge as they ventured into this new territory together? The stakes were rising, and the narrative continued to unfold. As the night wore on, the community center's atmosphere crackled with excitement and anticipation for the next steps of their joint venture. From a battleground of opposition, Karen and Trump had unexpectedly found themselves at the helm of a team unified by a shared goal, a compelling narrative of an Oakbrook that embraced diversity alongside tradition. Weeks passed, and the newly formed committee met regularly, brainstorming ideas that stirred the passions of both the old guard and the newcomers like Tanya. Art gardens and community festivals began to merge, leading to the unveiling of an ambitious project, the Oakbrook Flourish Festival, which would celebrate the heritage of the neighborhood while showcasing contemporary art. But just as their plans began to blossom, a new conflict emerged, one that threatened to unravel all the hard work they had put in. Posters began to appear throughout the neighborhood by a mysterious group calling themselves the Purists. Their message was clear: protect our roots. No chaotic change allowed. Beneath the surface of creativity lay veins of unease. And when Karen discovered the posters plastered across community bulletin boards, dread sank into her stomach. It's happening, she exclaimed at the committee meeting, brandishing a sign above her head. They're actively trying to sabotage our festival. Trump leaned back in his chair, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Fear has a way of driving people to extremes. But let's not let them dictate the narrative. If anything, we should address this head on. Before she could reply, Tanya burst in, her face flushed with anger. This is absurd. They don't want to see change, but change is inevitable. We can't let them silence voices that desire to be different. Silence? They're just defending their way of life. An older committee member snapped. If we don't respect Oakbrook's heritage, we might as well abandon everything we stand for. The room buzzed with dissent, and Karen felt her heart race. Look, let's address this calmly. We cannot become enemies over differing visions. The festival is meant to unite us, not tear us apart. Tanya's eyes sparked with determination. What if we made the festival as open as a debate? Invite everyone to participate. Put on display not only our art, but showcases of the old Oakbrook pride that the purists hold dear. Let's create a unity pageant. Karen raised an eyebrow, intrigued. That could attract them instead of pushing them away. We could include traditional elements and modern showcases together. Who could resist that? Nods and murmurs of agreement rippled through the group as they brainstormed ideas, slowly transforming their anxious energy into inspiration. The plans began to solidify. Local artisans would display their crafts, traditional musicians would perform, and an art competition would highlight Oakbrook's evolution. Meanwhile, as they prepared for the festival, Karen received word from an unexpected source. A letter signed simply as the Purists. It urged her to reconsider the festival, declaring, "Change without roots is like a tree without soil. It will collapse." Yet instead of submitting to fear, she viewed it as an opportunity to engage them directly on the day of the festival. Karen and her committee, buoyed by excitement, festooned the community center with vibrant banners and lights. The atmosphere thrummed with the scent of fresh flowers and food from local vendors. The stage was set for an unforgettable day. As the festival kicked off, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd. It was Tanya, adorned with colorful clothing and a crown of flowers. "Ladies and gentlemen," she shouted, capturing the attention of onlookers. "Today, we celebrate the beauty of our differences." Initially hesitant whispers echoed across the crowd, but Tanya's enthusiasm sparked energy. "Join us for an artistic journey, a showcase of our creativity and a tribute to our proud tradition. Let's build a bridge together." But just as they began to find commonalities, a shadow loomed behind the scenes. A small group of the purists emerged, chanting and brandishing their signs. "Protect Oakbrook. Silence the chaos." The atmosphere shifted as residents hesitated, filled with uncertainty. Karen's heart raced as she pulled Tanya aside. "What do we do? How do we face them without violence?" Tanya nodded, her determination unwavering. "We stand our ground, Karen. Let's introduce them into the conversation, rather than let them crash it." As the chaotic sounds of chants spilled over the laughter and music, Karen took a deep breath. Armed with conviction, she approached the purists. "Can we talk?" she called out, her voice rising above the tension. The commotion halted, and the group blinked at her in surprise. Karen continued, "I know you're afraid of losing what makes Oakbrook special. So are we. But this festival is about finding a path forward together. Let's discuss. Maybe we can represent our traditional heritage and add voices to the new ideas." "There's no we, Karen," the leader of the purists shouted back, indignation burning in his words. "You're deciding to let chaos define our community." "Chaos," Karen echoed, a spark igniting within her. "What if creative chaos can lead us to something better? We're not asking you to compromise entirely. We have a vibrant history, and we want to honor it. Merging visions might breathe life back into Oakbrook." Seeing the stir within the crowd, Tanya stepped forward boldly. "Look at everyone here. Two sides eager to connect. We want to create a richer narrative, not destroy what you love. Isn't growth a part of that love? We can keep our roots and shoot out together, Murmurs rippled through the crowd, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "I'd be willing to listen," one elderly voice chimed in, surprising the crowd. "If we could anchor ourselves together." Feeling the tide shift, Karen pressed on. "All we'd like is to try. If you let part of your artistic journey shine here today, we promise to include traditional ceremonies, crafts, whatever brings pride to our roots. Let's unite." After a tense moment, the leader of the purists inhaled deeply, glancing around at his comrades, uncertainty coloring his features. "Fine," he conceded finally, though the air remained fraught. "We'll put our traditional crafts on display, but no loud music or chaos." A relieved cheer erupted from the audience, and the festival, now a burgeoning representation of Oakbrook's shining multiple facets, grew more vibrant throughout the day. The festival showcased the spirit of collaboration, with traditional dances harmoniously merging alongside contemporary art performances. As night fell, fireworks erupted over Oakbrook, painting the sky with brilliant colors. The divisions that had seemed insurmountable melted away amid laughter, dance, and celebration. Karen caught Trump's eye amidst the jubilance, who had been busily chatting up vendors before turning toward her. "You know, it seems Oakbrook might just have a chance after all," he said, a hint of a smirk on his lips. "Yes," Karen replied, her heart swelling with hope. "It was never just about one side winning. We found common ground today." "You did well," he acknowledged, his expression softening unexpectedly. "Perhaps you're not so predictable after all." Tanya appeared at their side, a wide smile across her face. "And we've just begun. Imagine what we can create next year." But as the community cheered, Karen felt a prickle of awareness. Was all this unity as stable as it seemed? The night held hope and possibility, but would the underlying tensions resurface? As the festival wound down, Karen realized she had forged unexpected alliances in the most tumultuous times, even with Trump and the purists. In that moment, amidst the lingering echoes of laughter and the dazzling fireworks, she understood. Change would always be a challenge, but it also held the promise of extraordinary beauty. The narrative would continue to evolve as long as voices remained engaged, and creativity was allowed to flourish alongside tradition. Oakbrook's story had only just begun, and as she looked ahead, Karen's heart fluttered with the anticipation of what came next. The journey promised drama, adventure, and above all, connection, a reminder that in every twist of fate, hope prevailed. And so, just as the final firework crackled in the night sky, it illuminated a path forward, framing the deep shadows and radiant lights of Oakbrook's legacy, their weave of identities intricately intertwined for generations to come. The end. Yet truly, it felt like merely the beginning.